As a teacher or coach, do you ever feel overwhelmed supporting kids' mental health?
I had never experienced players being so down that they can't even participate.
He's just in tears in the huddle. I didn't know what to do.
Teachers need tons of help.
Kids Mental Health Foundation offers educational materials to help guide conversations with our students.
It's so important that we are constantly educating ourselves.
It's the same as the CPR class to me. We're trying to save a life here.
The Kids Mental Health Foundation has free tools and information developed by experts because kids' mental health starts with all of us. Scan the QR code or check out kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org to get started.
Breaking news, weather, entertainment, and sports. We have it all here. This is 101.7 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time! It's time! It's beta time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I'm your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Wallace. I'm coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. You can call in, text in at 833-212-1017. That is 833-212-1017. You can also watch and stream us live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a share, and give us a subscribe so you never miss any of your favorite award-winning 1017 The Truth shows by going to YouTube. Shout out to Rhea Riley, my producer, holding it down on the ones and the twos.
Hello.
And shout out to you, Truth Nation. Now, I'm a little distracted today because when I came in the studio, I saw this gentleman dressed in typical Saudi Arabian garb. I would say Muslim garb that they wear, the red. I don't know the names, everything, but they have the long, I don't even know what to say. I'm going to say Jesus-like Hulk that they wear. I can't describe it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all think of somebody from Saudi Arabia who got the red thing on the head, it's on the TV, Rhea.
Not a hijab?
Well, it's not a hijab, but the men wear. Anyways, this is I was caught off guard because the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is at the White House. And the reason why, again, Saudi Arabia is an ally of ours, but the last time I saw Mohammed bin Salman was back in 2018 when he was involved. There you go, Rhea, look at him. That's what I'm talking about. When he was involved, how would I describe that on his head, Rhea? What? I don't know how to. I don't know how I would describe it. So I'm sorry.
It's a checkered red and white.
Checkered red and white scarf, as if. So the whole reason why I'm listen is that I know the White House is corrupt, And the reason why this is a big deal to me is because James Khashoggi, do you remember that name? Jamal Khashoggi. I might be butchering the last name, but do you remember that name?
No.
Maybe not. Okay, so remember in 2019, I don't know if y'all remember this. In 2019, he was on like the hit list of them wanting to, the Saudi Arabian government wanted to get rid of him because he reported negatively about the Saudi Arabian government. Now, he was an American journalist. He was in America as a journalist. And so I don't know if he's American or not, but he was in America as a journalist. He went overseas. He went to the Saudi Arabian consulate, and he went in there, and when he came out, somebody had his suit on, walking out like it was him. He literally came in there, and they cut his fingers up, they chopped his body up, and they murdered and killed him. And U.S. intelligence had concluded that the Crown Prince, who is now in the White House, was the one who was involved in the killing of a journalist who lived in America at the time, but he was in Istanbul, Turkey, and he went to the consulate, the Saudi Arabian consulate in Turkey, and they chopped him up into pieces. And the Saudi Arabian prince has not been to America since that incident happened. And of course, the most corrupt president that we've had in recent times is bringing a murderer, somebody who the U.S. intelligence said murdered somebody, murdered a journalist for reporting the news, chopped up his limbs and his fingers, and then had somebody put his suit on and walk out the door like it was him. Corrupt people are okay with corrupt people. If y'all think for a second Donald Trump wouldn't order the death of a journalist here in America, you will be mistaken. You will be mistaken. So it's just weird to me how our morals, and so many of y'all morals, goes down the drain. Y'all don't care about things like this. This man should not, the Saudi Arabian prince should not be here in America. He should be arrested. We know U.S. intelligence said he murdered somebody, and here he is sitting right here in America, in the White House, a place that you, Rhea, me, and everybody else ain't been to. I've been around the White House, not directly in that area of the White House. I have been to the press briefing. Not under this president, though. But it's ridiculous. I can't stand Donald Trump. He getting mad at people. He said ABC should have their license taken away because somebody asked him about the Epstein files. Shut your perverted ass up. Tired of this man. But anyways, now that I'm done with my rant, make sure y'all watching streamers live on YouTube. Go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a like and give us a share so you don't miss any of your award-winning 1017 The Truth shows.
It's called a kafiyeh, a kafaya.
Oh, kafaya. Thank you, Rhea. I appreciate you making sure that I'm culturally competent. A kafaya. Man, I tell you one thing. People from Saudi Arabia, these dudes be so rich. It's ridiculous. So rich. But anyways, today, Truth Nation, my conversation wasn't going to be about Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It wasn't going to be my conversation. I was just thrown off by him being inside the White House, understanding that he literally ordered for the murder of a journalist where they decapitated his body and then tried to make it seem like he was still alive by having somebody put on his suit. They stripped the man naked, murdered him, and had somebody walk out in his suit and act like, oh, I don't know what happened. He did murdered? Murdered who? No, it's crazy. This man just look at him. He's just sitting there in the White House, Rhea. Like he hasn't called for the murder of people, but I guess our American presidents also call for the murder of people because they do it with the military. But anyways, off the top today, I do want to talk about something local that's a serious conversation, so let me hit them with off the top.
Y'all know what time it is. It's time for Off the Top on Truth to Power. Kyle, let Truth Nation know what you got to get off your chest today.
Truth Nation, I do have a question for you. I do. I'm curious. Do you feel you can trust the local MPD department to hold its own officers accountable? That is something that has been pondering in my mind since I opened up the Journal-Sentinel when I got in today, and I looked into the Journal-Sentinel, and I said, can you trust the Milwaukee Police Department to hold its officers accountable? Now, I am a staunch supporter of Chief Jeffrey Norman. Whenever we call here at 1017 The Truth, whenever we make a call to Chief Jeffrey Norman to come on to talk to the community, he always responds to the call. His people always answer. We call because we need some security for the walk against violence. His people, they always answer. They're extremely responsive to us. So I respect that, And I know he cares about this city, Chief Jeffrey Norman. He fully cares about this city. But I realize at times that the institution of what policing is here in the city and across this country, it is bigger than what one individual man can control. It really is. It's an institution that lacks institutional control. That's what MPD is and many other police departments across this country. Now, I am one not to believe that we should defund the police. I have gone on record about that multiple times. I do not believe defunding police is the route to go. I do not believe we need to defund the police here in Milwaukee or anywhere across the United States. I think the police play an integral role in the safety of our community. I know many officers care about the well-being of those in the community that they are here to protect and they serve. So you will never, ever, 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 ever hear me advocate for completely getting rid of or abolishing the police. That's something I would never do. I think it's a foolish thought to have. Abolishing the police is stupid, from my perspective. You would never hear me think anything of that or say anything like that. Now, what you will hear me say is, Truth Nation, is you will hear me say that police officers and the police need to be held accountable and need to be held to a higher standard of how they go about their day-to-day. I believe police officers owe it to the community and the people to understand the type of people that they're dealing with and address it accordingly. I do think they have that responsibility. You will hear me talk about how it's necessary for us to reimagine how policing looks here in Milwaukee. I will talk about reimagining the police, but I will not talk about defunding the police. I will not talk about abolishing the police, but I will talk about reimagining what policing looks like, because I think that is a better approach when you reimagine what police looks like on a day-to-day basis and how they operate on a day-to-day. That I will never waver from. And the reason why I'm here today talking about this police is because of a story of a gentleman named Keishon Thomas. Now, if y'all remember, this name rings a bell of Keishon Thomas. I know the morning show, Truth in the Morning, Dame and Bailey. We're doing Ken's show today. But I know they talked about Keishon Thomas, but that name should ring a bell because Tory Lowe talked about this back in 2022 and talked about the story of Keishon Thomas. And Keishon Thomas is back in the news due to some breaking information that came out. I want y'all to listen back to this TMJ4 news story about Keishon Thomas and what happened in 2024. It's a little long, but I want y'all to listen to this news story because this news story received over 6.5 million views. That's a lot. That's significant because this was such a big story back in 2022. So make sure you go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Turn up your radio on the 101.7 radio dial or download the 1017 The Truth app so you can listen as well. Because I want y'all to hear this news story from TMJ4 to set the table for why today is another day that we continue to see here in Milwaukee and with MPD with their lack of institutional control costing taxpayers millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Go to 1017 The Truth where TMJ4 has a report from 2022 about Keishon Thomas.
Look at the hours before a man's death in Milwaukee police custody. Keishon Thomas was found unresponsive on February 23rd inside a holding cell at Police District 5. Just about 2 hours ago, Milwaukee police released some video from that day, but there are still questions about what happened in the hours before Thomas was found dead. The I-Team's Sean Gallagher joins me now with that. Sean.
The video shows Keishon Thomas ingested drugs while in custody and did not want to go to the hospital when officers offered. But it is not clear how much time passed between when police last checked on Thomas in his cell and when he was found dead. Radio transmissions from paramedics who responded to District 5 suggest Thomas had been dead for quite some time before he was discovered. When Keishon Thomas is at District 5, twice he's able to ingest drugs that he had on him. Once lunging into the back of a police vehicle.
I have no more. I ate them. I ain't gonna... You ate them? I ate the little smoke I had.
And another time, he removes a bag from his pants and eats more drugs while awaiting booking. A booking officer questions him, even suggesting he go to the hospital.
I had a
You have a lot? I think we should just do something in the hospital.
Police later explained Thomas formally declined, stating he signed a medical form before he was taken to a holding cell. Keep in mind, this video is from an officer's body camera and includes timestamps of this moment. However, from the 2 angles we have of surveillance cameras at District 5, there are no timestamps on these cameras. Thomas walks freely into the cell at an unknown time. Milwaukee police show on the video this camera is motion activated. However, we've only been provided angles of when Thomas entered the cell and when he was discovered. Milwaukee police tell the I-Team video exists of officers checking on Thomas between the times of 3 and 6 a.m., but say it was deliberately left out of the community briefing. When they discovered Thomas's body, about a dozen officers come running, calling for Narcan, and were told they immediately start life-saving measures. The I-Team obtained radio traffic from responding EMTs.
Last known well was 16 hours ago when he was incarcerated.
The radio states 16 hours passed between Thomas entering the cell and officers finding his body. The responding EMTs continue with life-saving measures, giving an indication to the state Thomas's body was in when they arrived.
He had a rigid airway. Fluids are not flowing. Patient fingertips and earlobe were not yielding blood flow.
Last known well 16 hours ago, who has multiple signs of rigidity, lividity.
Now, according to the National Institutes of Health, rigor mortis typically sets in about 2 hours after death. MPD again today insisted there were cell checks done, but could not tell us when or how long before Thomas's death he was checked on. We asked the Milwaukee County DA about those radio transmissions, and a spokesperson could not confirm they're part of the investigation, but said they're likely part of the case file. Steve?
Sean Gallagher, a lot more questions here. Thomas's family is planning a news conference at 5:30.
16 hours. 16 hours between, you heard the police officer say that. There was 16 hours between the last check that they had. That's what they said there. You even hear them say rigor mortis basically is starting to kick in, and as the report said, typically that takes 2 hours after somebody dies. Now, they're supposed to be checking the cell every 2 hours. And if rigor mortis started kicking in, that would mean that they probably went at least an hour without checking on this young man, which, again, they probably would have found out had they done the check every 2 hours that he was indeed dead or going through a medical emergency. That is incompetence at its finest, Truth Nation. That is exactly what it is. And the police have a duty to protect the well-being of those in custody. But 833-212-1017, we're going to continue talking about this on the other side. Because once again, you see mistakes like this happening over and over and over again. And because of the mistake of the MPD, we are now looking as a city to have to pay $2.5 million to the family of Keishon Thomas. That's $2.5 million that we know our community does not have to be paid out to the family of Keishon Thomas due to the incompetence of some folks from MPD. 833-212-1017. Should MPD officers lose their job if they are part of any police misconduct or violate state or federal laws with their actions? Because that is what you saw here. You saw incompetence. 833-212-1017. Who should be held liable for this? I'll take your calls, I'll take your texts, and we'll continue this conversation talking about the incompetence that led to the death of Keishon Thomas. And I'll be very honest. Keishon ingesting them drugs was not a smart decision. But when we come back, I will tell you why, despite how foolish it was for him to take them drugs like that, there was a responsibility based off the people who our taxes go to save his life, and they failed at doing that. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. We're going to continue to talk about how the city continues, and not the city, how the Milwaukee Police Department, who had the audacity to ask for a raise, continues to cost us millions of dollars each and every year. We'll talk about that and so much more. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power right here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This is 1017 The Truth, Kyle Wallace, and the time is now, Milwaukee. Truth to Power is your platform, and on my show, our community always has a voice. There is no topic that is off limits, and I always give you my authentic opinions on how I feel, because keeping it real is the only way I know how to get down. Listen to Truth to Power with me, Kyle Wallace, every day from noon to 1 p.m. on the award-winning 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk.
It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Sometimes teams take a timeout to regroup and call the right play. When it comes to your home, Gina Della and her team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin always have the winning game plan. Check out the championship caliber play call this month. A whole house of beautiful, new, energy-efficient Pella windows for as low as $297 a month. And get this, 0% interest for up to 6 years. That's like running a drive that keeps moving the chains with no penalties and no interest. And I can tell you from my experience, Pella Windows actually stop the drafts. You'll stay comfortable no matter how cold it gets outside. Think about it. Energy savings, comfort, and a great monthly payment you can actually manage. That's why I trust Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and why this is the right time to make your move. Call today and schedule your free consultation at PellaWI.com. Certain restrictions apply. Ends 11/30 of 2025.
Want to help build a better Milwaukee? 1MKE is a nonpartisan coalition of over 100 community partners, making it easier to plug into what matters. From local services that can save you time and money to events that build community to voting resources to ensure your voice is heard. Whether you're new to civic engagement or ready to level up your impact, there's a place for you with 1MKE. Learn more, get involved, and take their community feedback survey at 1mke.org. We are 1MKE.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because their home policies help protect your dreams and come with a peace of mind. Save up to 25% by bundling home, auto, and life. American Family Insurance. Get a quote from an agent at amfam.com. Products not available in every state. Discounts may not apply to all coverages on an auto or home policy. Discounts do not apply to life insurance policies. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company assigned as operating companies. American Family Life Insurance Company. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Here's a dose of reality. Driving under the influence of prescription painkillers is just as illegal and just as deadly as driving drunk. In fact, there are nearly 2,000 drug-related crashes every year in Wisconsin. Help prevent drugged driving and let's achieve 0 preventable deaths on Wisconsin roadways. Driving on pills kills. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Departments of Health Services, Transportation, and Justice.
This is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. It's College Month on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, and we want to help your young scholar get those free scholarship dollars all month long. We will be highlighting local universities who offer full tuition scholarships and local organizations who help students find thousands of dollars in scholarships each year. So be sure to tune into The Truth all month long so you do not miss this important information on how your student can go to college and be debt-free. Like I said, Boys and Girls Club of Greater Milwaukee will be joining us next Wednesday. All in Milwaukee, Irving Ibarra will be joining me on Friday, next Monday. Individual from MPS Foundation, where they give out scholarships each year, will be joining the Tori Lowe Show at 2 o'clock. So make sure y'all stay tapped in. And do know College Scholarship Month on The Truth is sponsored by Marquette University. Be the difference. They have amazing scholarships that you should apply for. I used to work there. They have a lot of scholarships. They have the EOP scholarships. They have a Burke scholarship. They have they got their scholar. I forgot what the scholarship is called, but you get full tuition scholarship taken care of. They got a lot of great scholarships. Make sure your thriving student applies for it. And also Educators Credit Union, Achieving More Together. They also have 70? Is it 70? It might be 35 $2,000 scholarships. That's what it is. It's $70,000 worth of scholarships. I did what yesterday?
Not knowing what was what?
No, I couldn't remember who the other person was. It's Andre Douglas. He just texted me yesterday. He's joining from the Boys and Girls Club. But yeah, make sure y'all apply for these scholarships, man, because I'm telling y'all this right now. These loans suck. I was so happy when Joe Biden forgave them loans. I was so happy. And then here come Trump, old bum ass, and the Republicans. That's what I just don't understand. Y'all love the Republicans for some reason, but can't tell me nothing they did that y'all love. Oh, they got rid of the Mexicans. Yeah, all the Mexicans that work here in downtown Milwaukee, they got rid of. Okay. Oh, speaking of, I know this is random. Quick update. Remember Esperanza, the cleaning lady I had?
Yes.
She didn't get deported. I know that to be a fact.
I thought we were saying her name.
Oh, well, she's clean. She good. Because she went out there with them.
Now.
No, well, she went out there. She just cleaned somebody else's house who I know. He gave me their number, but she hadn't cleaned their house yet. He said, dog.
Did a good job.
He said, oh, my gosh, it was spotless. He said, I didn't want to shower in my own bathroom. That's how good it was. I'm telling y'all, she hooked it up.
What's the name of the business? I'll put it in the group chat.
I don't even. I forgot.
How you forget? Is she fired?
She gonna be once a year for me. I can't afford 300 or two something. I can't afford to have her come every month. She laughed when I said, "Oh no, we just looking for one cleaner." She said, "Oh, I don't do that too often." I said, "Well, baby, you gonna get this money or what? I see you in 2026. We do one deep cleaning a year.
Not even like every 6 months.
Hell no, I ain't got. Listen, the way my money's set up, I can't do that. I gotta save every single penny I can get.
I mean, okay.
833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. Make sure y'all call in and text in. And any comments on today's show. But in addition to that, make sure y'all watching stream us live on YouTube by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a like and give us a share as well. We're having a conversation talking about MPD and why I have a lot of distrust in MPD because once again in MPD, their misconduct has led to a death of another citizen here in America, here in Milwaukee. And on top of that has led to we, the citizens, having to pay $2.5 million. Now, I understand this, and somebody said on YouTube, again, you can watch the streamers live on YouTube, get into the chat. Ryan Rose said his fault. Now, no. Is it his fault that he ingested the drugs? Absolutely. I am not saying he is not guilty of taking drugs because that was stupid and that was foolish, and he should not have done that. That was a bad decision that was made. But again, if a person is in the custody of the police, right, and they ingest multiple drugs and they tell you that they don't want to go to the hospital. That's the thing. They admit to you that they ingested drugs. And then when you ask them to go to the hospital, they tell you they don't want to go to the hospital. As a police officer or any professional that has a duty to protect people, you do not listen to somebody who just ingested drugs. That doesn't even make sense. It is your responsibility to take that individual to the hospital. Drugs are known to alter one's state of mind. Alcohol, state of mind. So what you have to understand and what the police fully understand is that when somebody takes drugs, it's going to alter their state of mind and their judgment. That's why drugs are illegal. You cannot operate under the influence. That's why you can't have certain drugs because they mess with your judgment. They mess with your processing. They make you unstable. They're illegal. That is why many of these drugs are considered substances you cannot take. So for these officers to have a man admit that he took drugs and then allow him to make a decision on whether or not he needed the care of a hospital or be around a physician is incompetent and negligent. So for Ryan Rowe, who said his fault, ain't it his fault? Because the police officers failed him. And if it was his fault, then why the hell am I paying my portion of the $2.5 million towards paying out his family? And again, I'm not saying he's not guilty for making a bad decision, but the police officers failed in that moment. And because of their incompetence, the city will have to pay $2.5 million to the family of Keishon Thomas. And once again, we're stuck as taxpayers with that bill. And according to the lawsuit that was filed, the officers who were Donald Kruger, who booked Thomas into the jail, Officer Meritato and Officer Lloyd, who arrested Thomas, were deliberately acting indifferent and objectively unreasonable to his medical condition. And the city of Milwaukee is also being sued as part of that. That's why we had to pay this. So the lawsuit is saying that they were objectively unreasonable to provide him medical attention based off his condition. So we continue to see this over and over and over again. MPD makes a mistake and we, the city, have to pay for it. And the big thing that I want y'all to understand is that when I say over and over and over again, I'm not just talking. According to the Marshall Project, the city of Milwaukee has paid a whopping $40 million. Not $40 million all the time. Not $40 million since 2000. From 2010 to 2020, in a 10-year span, the city of Milwaukee has paid $40 million for Milwaukee Police Department misconduct. Over 10 years, they have paid $4 million per year for the misconduct of the police here in the city of Milwaukee. $4 million a year wasted on reckless actions of the police. And that's why I asked y'all at 833-212-1017, why are we the taxpayers on the hook for poor police officers? Why are we the taxpayers liable when these police officers continue to make the same mistakes over and over? I understand that this happened once in a while, but when you're talking about $4 million on average from 2010 to 2020 that we had to pay out because of the police department, when you know this city is struggling to make ends meet, something's got to shake, something's got to change. There is clearly a culture within MPD that needs to be disrupted. I just am baffled by how somebody could ingest drugs and become visibly ill, and somehow the police didn't do the right thing and call for a paramedic. They asked him whether or not he wanted it. Again, 833-212-1017. How do we hold police officers more accountable when their actions lead to death and lawsuit, which cost us taxpayers money? 833-212-1017.
I beg to differ.
You beg to differ about what?
I feel like they could still be liable for an issue if they did send him to the hospital because he said no. I mean, yes, he's on drugs, but like, is there a law that says against that? Because if he said no and I said no, don't send me to no hospital.
You had no. I get what you're saying. If a man says no, but the key thing is that this man was in a state where he had taken drugs. He had taken, if you ingest drugs, pills, whatever it is, and now you're going to be in a mental state where you can't function or make good decisions, they have a duty as police officers to be able to take him to get the medical care. If somebody is bleeding out, and visibly bleeding out, you're going to sit there and say, I don't want to go to the hospital. So you want to die? No. They have a duty as police officers to take a man because based off their training, and that's why they're being sued, and that's why the city's going to have to pay, is because they failed in their duty to protect this individual. And that's why you even see here, they said it was unreasonable for them not to do it.
Okay.
And so, I mean, again, we can sit here and say, oh, well, he asked not to go. He didn't want to go to the police. Listen, I don't give a damn what you want to do. You ain't going to die in my care. You're not going to die in our custody. Because if he dies in the custody, guess what happens? The police officers are held liable. When we come back on the other side, I'll take calls from Alston Sherman Park. Thank you, Rhea, for interjecting. And obviously, Rhea, she believes that the man was in the wrong.
They both are in the wrong. But
100%. 100%.
Okay.
100%. They both were. I said it before. Foolish to be taking drugs like that. Didn't one rapper die that way?
Couple of them.
Well, the one that was on a plane and took all the drugs. I have these lucid dreams. Juice WRLD. He died doing something stupid like that too. But 833-212-1017. I do want to hear from y'all, Truth Nation, because I do want to know who should be responsible for this. Should this be on us, or should we find another way to make sure we're holding the police accountable? Because how do we hold police more accountable when their actions lead to death in lawsuit, which costs we, the taxpayers, more money? 833-212-1017. Should taxpayers be responsible for paying for police misconduct settlements, or should it start coming out their budget? 833-212-1017. I see your texts. I see your calls. I see you on YouTube. We'll take all that on the other side. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power right here on the award-winning 1017, The Truth.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 101.7 The Truth.
I want you to really stress the importance of having an ethnically diverse blood supply. But I guess, what do you say to people that, for whatever reason, are apprehensive about giving blood?
It's not by accident that we are building this fixed donation site right in the heart of this Halyard Park, Harambe neighborhood. And to your point, our black and brown donors probably represents the smallest demographic in our donor base. That's attributed to multiple reasons. For those of us that understand the history, there is a lot of underlying mistrust of the healthcare system. And quite frankly, there's already challenges with how busy people are, how accessible they are to even know where to go to donate blood. And let's face it, a lot of folks are scared of needles, right? But when they get through all of that, the importance, I think, is a heavier burden on our black and brown communities, because there are a lot of different blood diseases that require what I'll call more blood that only comes from people of similar ethnicities. Something that's specific to our black donors and patients is something that I think your listeners are very familiar with: sickle cell disease. The only therapy that get them through their day-to-day life is blood transfusions. And it's not just what I'll call average or normal blood type or blood transfusion. It's actually a specific blood with a specific type called RO blood. And this RO blood typically only comes from people of African descent and Hispanic descent. And so that's why it's so important that our donor base is diverse, so that it helps our ethnically diverse patient population.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Nazir Spencer. The Packers shined in the Big Apple and took down the Giants 27-20. Packers improved to 6-3-1. Quarterback Jordan Love on the win.
You know, I think when you look at it, we'll go back and look at the film, but there's still so many more plays we could have made that would really, change the outcome of this game.
Packers sit below the Chicago Bears in the division, who are 7-3. Next matchup is against the Vikings next Sunday. The Bucks head to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, looking to brush off a loss against the Lakers. That game begins tonight at 6. The Bucks currently sit at 8-6. Badger men's basketball sit at number 24 ranked in the country and 3-0 to start off the season. The next matchup is today at 7 at the Kohl Center. Marquette basketball sits at 3-2, while UW Milwaukee basketball sits at 2-3. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams, member FDIC.
It is Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I'm Kyle Wallace, and we're coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue. Make sure y'all watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. That is 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. We're talking about Keishon Thomas, who's an individual who died in police custody back in 2022 after he ingested pills and drugs while he was being arrested. And when they asked him he told them I had taken pills, he admitted to it. And the police officers asked him, does he want to go to the hospital? He said no. And that has created quite a conversation about who is responsible for the well-being of Keishon Thomas. And I wasn't expecting it to go in this direction, but I'm glad it did, because I saw on the Truth Talking text line where some people are saying, well, it was his fault. And again, I am not saying he is not guilty of making a foolish decision. But what I am saying is that the Milwaukee Police Department and police department, they all have a duty to act. They have a clear duty to act. Because once somebody is in your custody, it becomes upon you to make sure if they need any necessary medical care, it is upon you as a police officer to have the duty to ensure that they get that medical care, regardless if they say no. If somebody takes drugs, ingest drugs the way he did, as a simple precaution, you should be getting some type of medical assistance to at least come on site to check them, not just the police. So I do believe it was a failure amongst the police department. 833-212-1017. I see y'all on the Truth Talking text line. I see y'all on YouTube. Make sure y'all watching streamers live on YouTube. I'm going to get to all of it. Make sure if y'all got any comments where you want to call in, please do call in and chime in on this conversation, because I do think it's an interesting conversation on who is at fault for the death of Keishon Thomas. Is it Keishon Thomas's fault? Or did the police department fail Keishon Thomas? Because based off this lawsuit and based off the $2.5 million settlement that is about to be approved by the Common Council, it seems like the MPD failed in their duty, and now we as the taxpayer have to pay the price. But 833-212-1017. Al in Sherman Park, what's happening? What are your thoughts on today's conversation?
Hey, how you doing, Kyle?
Great, brother.
Yeah, before I get to the comments on the jailing thing here, at the top of the show, you talked about the prince being in town, but we don't meet with world leaders because a lot of them have done horrible things like Uganda, Russia, China. We'd be meeting with very few world leaders.
I agree, but this one was so egregious because it was, you know, the story where they chopped them up and they act like they didn't do anything. It was just, I guess it's very different when you know U.S. intelligence tells you that a guy that was living in America goes over to Turkey, and then he goes to Turkey and he gets chopped up and fingers cut off, and it was directed by the Saudi prince who is now in office, and that's why he hadn't been here since 2018. So, I mean, I think it's a little bit different, don't you think, Al?
But think about Xi in China. I'm pretty sure he's directed far worse things. Anyway, yes, at what point do we save? Is it our legal obligation to save you from yourself? I think you should have the ACLU in to answer some of these questions, because if the person took drugs and did not want to go to the hospital, when does it become my body, my choice not to extract the drugs out of his body, which then might be used against him in a court of law?
In this case, when you're the police department, that you have a duty to act. Just like if a teacher saw a student going through some type of medical emergency, if a teacher saw a student ingest pills, what are they going to do? They're not going to sit there and they say, well, I'm sick, but don't call the police. No, they're going to call the police because they have a duty to act. So, I mean, we can sit there, but as civil servants that they are, it is their duty to be able to act upon that. You can put them back on.
Okay, so it becomes our legal obligation the moment you express illness.
Our Milwaukee Police Department, yes. Not Kyle Wallace or Al from Sherman Park, because we are not civil servants. We don't have a duty to act. We don't have a duty to report anything. It's not our duty. That's just being a good human being. But they have a duty, a clear duty to do that. And that's why so many lawsuits happen when people make these mistakes.
Well, hopefully our umbrella insurance policy is kept up. The minute we lose that, we'll be paying a lot of money out of our own pockets.
Sounds good. Thank you, Al. I appreciate that. And that's my whole thing. But again, on the talking text line at 833-212-1017, Brett said, Kyle, I don't agree with you. It's not on the MPD police officers once he denied going in. Why do you act like MPD is always doing things to hurt people of color? Why is the liability loom larger if MPD than the idiot that ate drugs? Maybe we should look at funding the police and give them more money and more of the budget and more manpower. Defund programs have killed and hurt the city. Brett from Milwaukee. Brett, again, just because somebody makes a foolish decision while they're under the influence of drugs doesn't mean they don't deserve to get the medical attention that they need. That's my whole point, is that it is clear in this situation. Thank you, Shadio. Mandatory reporting. I don't know if police have to do mandatory reporting, but I do know educators have mandatory reporting, because I remember I had to take, when I worked in higher education, I also was a mandatory reporter, so you had to take like a quiz for that. So you know exactly what your duties are. And so, but again, just because somebody did something wrong, right? We're acting like this person murdered somebody. No, he took drugs. People take drugs all the time. Matter of fact, they made it so in certain communities, when people overdose on drugs, they made it so instead of you getting in trouble, they say just call for help, which is the right thing to do. Is to advocate for people to call for help when somebody's going through a drug overdose. They'll say they'll turn the other cheek just to make sure somebody is okay and healthy. And so how is it that the police department are living on different standards? But again, what's awful about all this is the fact that, for me, when I look at this, right, and I look at this lawsuit that we had to pay, is the fact that MPD just got paid more money based off the contract they just signed. MPD's getting paid more money even though they're going to cost us more money. And I said it before, I wouldn't have given them a raise. And things like this make me double down on the stance that until they have more severe punishment and consequences for the mistakes like this that we see that cost somebody a life, they cannot get a raise. There needs to be more punishment or more accountability when things like this happens. Now, again, I respect the police. There is nobody else that I am calling other than MPD if I get robbed. I'm calling 911. I ain't having a second thought about it. Officer, it was them. I have no issues with that. I respect the police, and I believe what they do is important. They serve an important, tremendously important purpose in and for our community. But that does not make them exempt from criticism or accountability. And I think far too often, too many people want to make excuses when police officers make the wrong decision and do something wrong. A man died because of decisions and actions of the police. Yes, did he make a poor decision? Indeed, he did. But it could have been negated by the acts of the police officers. If the police officers would have did exactly what they should have, he could have got the medical attention necessary to potentially give him a better chance to live. But on top of that, as you heard in the video earlier, they're supposed to check on him every 2 hours. And according to the police phone call to the medical, to when they called for help, the police called for help, they said the last time they checked on him was potentially 16 hours ago. Rigor mortis had kicked in by the time they found him in his cell dead. 833-212-1017. Avery in Milwaukee, what are your thoughts on this conversation?
Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly comment, because what you are saying in terms of the police's responsibility, this is exactly correct. This is not an opinion. Once a person finds themselves in a custodial position, you have been arrested, you've been committed mentally, you're in a hospital because you're sick. And once you find yourself in a custodial position, inherently certain rights disappear. Those rights and obligations and responsibilities are reverted to the person who holds custody. So in this instance, the police become responsible for this person's well-being, because as an incarcerated, arrested, jailed person, they have lost certain rights to make their own decisions. So you're not allowed to say, I don't want medical care. You technically don't have the right to refuse. And so it's not an opinion. You are exactly on point in terms of where this responsibility is assigned. It is terrible that we have to foot the bill on that as taxpayers, but when people are arrested, they do not have the choice to deny or request certain things, period.
Thank you, Avery. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and appreciate all the comments coming in. I appreciate this great conversation that we're having about this Truth Nation. I'm sure Tory Lowe will talk about it as well. But Security Mike, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts, in addition to this conversation today, on this tragic situation that happened with MPD and Mr. Thompson?
Yeah.
Thomas, excuse me.
Yeah, Cal could have saved ourselves some money if they would have did their routinely checking of this guy every hour, you said, or every 2 hours.
Yep,
we could have saved that money if they just would have did their job.
That's all you got to say, Security Mike. That's all. I appreciate you, because he's right. We could have saved ourselves $2.5 million if the police just would have did their jobs. That's what it comes down to. So all the back and forth about whether or not the guy was in the wrong for ingesting the drugs, we all know that was a mistake. We all know that was bad. But the police had an opportunity, and not only opportunity, it had a duty to address the medical emergency that was happening, and what they knew was going to happen when somebody ingests drugs like that, and they didn't. And now we're stuck to foot the bill. And as Gary said on the Truth Talking text line at 833-212-1017, he said it is on MPD. They took an oath, take it out of their budget, and maybe the chief will start holding corrupt officers more accountable. I see y'all talk to text. I see y'all. We had some great calls today. I see y'all on YouTube at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. When we come back on the other side, I'll read more of your chats on YouTube. Make sure y'all give us a like and give us a subscribe. I'll see more of y'all conversations as well on the talk and text line, and I'll share my final thoughts on today's conversation and letting you guys know this. Actions have consequences. But do the consequences fit the fatal ending of Keishon Thomas? I'll share with y'all exactly what the police officers who were part of this, what their consequences were, and you can already foreshadow they were probably very, very light. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. I'll share some more information and data on this conversation on the other side.
You are listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on 101.7 The Truth and The Truth app. Catch Truth to Power every weekday from noon to 1 p.m.
Hey, think you're the ultimate trivia champ?
Well, prove it against us, your favorite WTMJ host.
It's free to play. All we ask is bring a new unwrapped toy to benefit Capco's Kids to Kids toy drive.
Or you can donate at WTMJ.com. Just text TOY to the WTMJ talk and text line.
855-616-1620. Grab your friends. Test your smarts. All while helping a great cause.
It's the WTMJ Trivia Challenge, coming to a place near you.
Check out the schedule of where we will be at WTMJ.com.
This is Sherwin Hughes from 101.7 The Truth for Axe Housing. Are you tired of paying a landlord rent when you should be paying yourself? Do you want to leave a financial legacy, or would you like to have a stable place to call home? Well, it's time for you to start on the path to owning your own home instead of renting. You can work with an Axe Housing coach, and they will teach you how home ownership can be a reality. Axe Housing has helped over 4,000 families in our neighborhoods. Many times your mortgage will be a lot less than what you're paying for rent, as an average Axe family who has been helped pays around $900 per month. No matter what barriers you think you're facing, Axe Housing coaches can assist you right now. An Axe Housing coach will help you create and stick to a plan and a budget and get you ready for home ownership. If you're not dreaming of home ownership by now, you certainly should be. Let's make it a reality with Axe Housing. Get started on a virtual orientation by clicking on axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Don't let where you are financially right now get in the way of your very bright future of becoming a homeowner. Axe coaches are here to help.
Truth Nation, I'm telling you this right now. Life is better with a home policy from American Family Insurance, and it is so easy today to get a quote. You can get a quote online by simply going to amfam.com, or what I love about it, I like talking to people in person, so you can also find an agent near you while visiting amfam.com. And with American Family Insurance, you always know you feel protected and you are free to enjoy your dreams. And that's from decorating a new nursery to hosting a family reunion in your new backyard to whatever life brings you. American Family Insurance has your back. So always remember to insure carefully and dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. Visit amfam.com to get a quote or find an agent near you.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Here's a dose of reality. Driving under the influence of prescription painkillers is just as illegal and just as deadly.
Oh, is it?
In fact, there are nearly 2,000 drug-related crashes every year in Wisconsin.
Whoa!
Help prevent drug driving, and let's achieve 0 preventable deaths on Wisconsin roadways. Driving on pills kills.
Does it really?
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Departments of Health Services, Transportation, and Justice.
Bring me back. Okay.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
All right, so y'all heard that commercial. Driving on pills kills. It's illegal, right? So if driving on pills in that commercial that you heard from the Wisconsin Broadcasting Association, if driving on pills kills, if it's illegal to drive on pills, right, you can get pulled over, you get in trouble. So wouldn't you think if somebody ingests pills in front of you, wouldn't you think that if that was an illegal act and you know that pills can kill because of the fact that they can kill you or they can cause for you to have bad decision making, wouldn't you think the police would probably say, well, I know he doesn't want to go to the hospital, but he did just consume some of them pills that may make him sick and he could potentially die. That's my whole point, Truth Nation. Again, 833-212-1017. That's the talk and text line. Y'all can watch and stream us live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. There was no better time for that PSA to play because it proves my whole point while the police officers failed in their duty on that day, and now we, the people, have to pay the price. 833-212-1017 on the talk and text line. Josh said, how and why was he able to get drugs into the holding cell? And it's his action by choosing to eat drugs. The officers did not kill him. The officers did not kill him, but their negligence allowed for him to die. 833-212-1017. Damia said on the talking text line, the police could have covered themselves by taking him to the hospital. The hospital would have gone through protocol to see if he was competent enough to decide whether or not he needed or wanted medical treatment. If a patient chooses not to be a full code, then it is on them. But the police had the duty to at least take him in. As a healthcare professional, I can't force medication or treatment on any patient who has declared their own person. Bingo. Ding, 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 ding. And I did say I was going to talk about what the consequences were for some of these officers in this case where, again, an individual who died in police custody. His family is suing the city of Milwaukee for $2.5 million, or that could say they're settling on $2.5 million, which once again, because of the misconduct or incompetence of the Milwaukee Police Department, we, the citizens, now have to pay more money. From 2010 to 2020, we paid $40 million in taxpayer money in settlements because of incompetence of the Milwaukee Police Department. Now, when it comes to what were some of the consequences that these folks had to have when they made these poor decisions. So there was multiple officers that were involved in this. And what were some of their consequences? Well, the first officer who failed in doing his due diligence or doing his duty was Officer Kruger, who was charged and was fined with $5,000 for his role in the case. But also, he was put on administrative leave, and guess what he did while he was on administrative leave? He retired. Officer Muratado, he was fired in 2024 for his role in this case, but back in March of 2020, he was fired in 2024. But back in March of 2025, the Fire and Police Commission here in Milwaukee reversed that decision and gave him a 60-day suspension instead and stated that he learned his lesson. So that's why they gave him his job back. A man dies, but another guy learns his lesson, so he gets his job back after being fired. After the right thing was done, but the Milwaukee Fire and Police Commission brought him back on. We need to look into the Fire and Police Commission at that. Another officer, Officer Lopez, was on full suspension, and there wasn't any update on whether or not he was actually fired or not, but he is a former officer, so it seems he is no longer with the department. A man died because of negligence and punishment was retirement. They killed him. They didn't kill him, but he died due to their negligence, and one of the officers got to retire, get his pension. That ain't good enough. Truth Nation, I'll finish with this. Laws need to be changed because Wisconsin laws protect these officers if anything happens while they are acting within the scope of their employment. Translation, if any officer commits misconduct on duty, they won't be held accountable. Just a slap on the wrist while we citizens are left handling the bill. There needs to be changes within MPD. There has to be. Because there's too many officers, 192 are on the Brady List, who are deemed to not be credible sources, who are walking around or in the past have walked around working for MPD. This has been Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I'm your host, Kyle Wallace. Do know, make sure you, I'll tell you in a couple seconds about Gruber Law Offices, but this has been Truth to Power on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. The Tory Lowe Show is up next with 1 to 4. I love y'all, Truth Nation. Thanks for chiming in. Peace out. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Come in with straight truth.
Everything got a message. I'll say this. Y'all can't be tired if y'all still messing with the